Yo, what up, y'all? Lessons from the Crib Season 1 has finally ended, man. We got 13 episodes that are up now. But for those of y'all who haven't watched any of the Lessons from the Crib, for whatever reason, you're crazy. But I put together this 3-hour video compilation of videos teaching everything from hand speed to foot speed to developing a better groove, getting better chops, playing to a metronome, keeping great timing. All of these things are here in this one video. Now, I've marked each chapter so you could go straight to the video that you want to get to. Through this video, y'all will see how things have developed. I haven't always been a strong speaker and teacher, but I got out of my comfort zone because everyone was requesting YouTube lessons. So this is Lessons from the Crib Season 1. Y'all get ready for Season 2 coming out in August. I'm currently on tour right now, so if you want to come see me perform live with your own 2 eyes or 4 eyes, visit my website, www.hazeamaze.com, to see my tour schedule. Hope to see you at a show. Now let's get into this video.
A large amount of my videos are watched by people who aren't even subscribed to me. Please help me hit my subscriber goal of 100,000 by the end of this year by sharing this video, alright? We are at 45,000 subscribers, and I appreciate y'all for that. I love y'all, and once again, share this video. Help me get my subscribers up so I can keep pushing out this content for y'all. Keep watching the videos, keep sharing them, keep liking them. I love y'all. Let's get it.
Lessons from the Crib. Let's go. Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Haze Amaze here, and welcome to Lessons from the Crib. During this series of lessons, I'll be teaching you all different things that I feel like you all should know and things that you all would like to know, which I'll do in a poll later on my Patreon. Make sure y'all go subscribe to that, by the way, if you haven't already. Okay, so the first lesson we're going to do is going to be on developing your groove. You know, we all know that pocket pays the bills, right? Right? Yeah, pocket pays the bills, okay? So what we want to do is we don't only want to play pocket, but we want to make the pocket feel good. And you do that by developing your groove, right? A lot of people ask, what is groove, or what is feel, what is pocket? To me, they all kind of mesh into each other. So a groove is when you're playing the beat. That's just simply how I look at it. No matter what song you're playing or no matter what beat you're making, you're grooving when you're playing the beat. Now, adding things to the beat or just the way that you play the beat, in my opinion, creates the feel of it. And staying in the pocket of a song or of a recording, whatever you're doing, staying in the pocket mainly means not losing the pace of whatever groove or song that you're playing, right? So if I'm playing a song and I'm just playing straight 2 and 4, and I'm like, if I'm just playing that straight 2 and 4, it doesn't feel the best, in my opinion. Now, to you, you might think that feels good. And if it feels good, well, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? But in my opinion, to make that groove feel better, it comes from within your body. So most of the times, and you'll hear me as I play my grooves, I like to... like, that's just something that I do, and no one can ever hear it, but y'all will hear it today because I do have this mic here. So when I'm playing the groove, the way that I make it feel better is I'll just play extra ghost notes or extra kick drums or extra hi-hats that are just bring the groove in, like, into this one unit and connect the dots, is what I like to call it a lot of times. So let's see about doing that, right? So I'm going to come from playing a straight groove to playing a groove to where I'm adding some feeling into it. All right? So we're going to go at 80 BPMs here. 1, 2, 3, 4, straight beat. All right? Now I'm going to add some feel to it. You know, just adding some 8th notes on the hi-hats. And then I'll add some ghost notes. some kick drums. And then back to the straight beat. You can playing it with a little attitude, you know what I mean? Instead of just playing it like, kind of slouchy and just, hello, my name is Haze. You gotta be like, yo, my name is Haze. Yo, my name is, my name is, you know what I mean? So, all right. So that is what I mean by adding feel or feeling to your groove. Now, a lot of times you can play a groove and what will happen is it doesn't necessarily feel good. And a lot of times I like to say that's because I don't feel like the groove is from within. When you're playing drums, when you're making any kind of music, you have to play from your heart. No matter what it is, you got to play from your heart. One thing I like to always say is what's from the heart reaches the heart. You know what I mean? And when playing the drums, it's all about the heartbeat. You always hear people say that the drums are the heartbeat of a band. We keep the song driving. We are the tempo and everything like that. And if you don't have feel, or if you're not grooving properly, things just aren't going to feel good. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'll demonstrate the difference between playing quarter notes in the groove, playing eighth notes in the groove, and playing 16th notes in the groove on the hi-hats, right? So you have your quarter notes, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have eighth notes, which if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 3 beats in between each number. So you have 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, back to 1. Eighth notes normally land on the number, which would be 1, 2, 3, or 4, and the and. So you go 1 E and a, 2 E and a, right? So you go 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. Those are eighth notes. So if I'm playing eighth notes on my hi-hats, you will go 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 5 E and a, 6 E and a, 7 E and a, 8 E and a. Now, 16th notes, and these are just 3 of the most common notes that you'll play when you're playing drums. You have things like triplets and dotted quarters, all of this type of stuff, but these are the 3 commons that you'll play. You'll play quarters, you'll play eighths, and you'll play 16ths, right? So 16th note is, you heard when I said you have 3 beats in between each number. So you have 1 E and a. Now a 16th note will be you playing all of the beats. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. So it'll be 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 5 E and a, 6 E and a, 7 E and a, 8 E and a. Right? So if I'm playing that in a groove, normally I'm playing my foot on 1 and 3, and I'm playing my snare on 2 and 4. Something like this. So if I'm at 80 BPM, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, quarter notes. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E. Eighth notes. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Right? Now we're gonna go 16th notes. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 So between using quarter notes on your hi-hats, eighth notes on your hi-hats, and 16th notes on your hi-hats, you can feel the difference in the groove. You can feel the difference that the eighth notes make versus the 16th notes versus the eighth notes in your groove. One of them may feel like you're just walking down the park. The next may feel like you're jogging down the park. And the third one, which is the 16th notes, may feel like you're running down the park. You know what I mean? So I'm walking. Oh, hello everybody. How y'all doing? You know what I mean? And then you're like, all right, that's good, y'all. All right, yeah, I'm just jogging right now, but I gotta leave y'all in the dust right quick. You know what I mean? So you go right. You hear the difference that the amount of notes that you play on the hi-hat can make to a groove, while your foot and your hands are still going on the 1 and 3 and the 2 and the 4. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On your snare, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So with no hi-hats, of course you just have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Adding the hi-hats on there gives it the feel that it needs, in my opinion. Of course, I can come in and I can play something with just my feet and my hands, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But there's a difference between that and this. Stop doing that because I can just go off on a tangent into different grooves to play. Circling all of this back down to what we really came here for, which is developing your groove and adding feel to your groove. I feel like, once again, I'm driving the point of feel home so hard because you can groove all day long or you could play a groove all day long, but if people aren't like, you know what I mean? They're not going to want to hear that. You know what I mean? Because it's just kind of like it's just there as this annoying bee that's been buzzing in your ear all day, you know? But once you add the feeling into it, that just changes the game for not only you as a drummer, but it changes the game for the band as a whole. It changes the game for the artist as a whole, because the audience who is coming to see you perform, they want to be dancing and partying and everything like that. But if your feel isn't right, I don't really think anyone is going to be dancing or partying if things don't feel right. You know what I mean? I appreciate y'all for tuning in to Lessons from the Crib. This is only part 1. And what I'm here to do is to help you develop as a drummer, but not only as a drummer at home or from home, but a drummer to playing those live stages, doing your own drum clinics, being your own brand, doing all of these kind of things, which we will get into as time progresses. But thank y'all again for tuning in to lesson number 1, and we out of here. I'll see y'all next week. Peace. I'm about to go back in my bed now. Lessons from the Crib, flying solo. Everybody, welcome back to the crib, okay? Yes, I know I just got out of bed. Literally just got out of bed. I really didn't, but I just got out of the bed. And another pain area that seemed to be pretty big and pretty popular for everybody on the poll that I took was how to build a solo and soloing. So today, I will supply you all with some concepts that I normally use for my solos, whether I'm doing an open solo or whether I'm doing a solo during a song. The concept of soloing for me is literally playing what you want to play and playing what feels good from within you, which is something that I'm huge on. Like I say in almost all of my videos, playing from the heart. When starting off with an open solo, generally, if it's a drum set I've never touched before, which is very rare. I'll kind of test the drums out just to see how they sound, and then I'll come up with maybe a groove or a phrase that'll work for me to start as the foundation of my solo. And when I mean foundation of a solo, that means literally what you build your solo on. You start with it, you can end with it, you can do it throughout the solo, but most of the times it's something that you play and you kind of set it in stone and just kind of build that moment for the viewer, whether you're doing a live drum clinic, a tour, or some content online. So I'll take you all through how I build my open drum solos. So first, I'm going to test out my drums as if I've never heard them before, even though I know exactly how each one of my drums here sound. But I'll go through and test the drums, and I will, in a sense, build a story. When you're doing a solo, think of yourself as a painter. We're all artists, but think of yourself as a painter or an author. You know, how they start one place, and then as they go throughout the progression of writing that book or doing that painting or doing the drawing, it starts to complete itself and it builds a story. So that's what we're going to do here is we're going to build a story. And when you're doing a drum solo, I don't believe anything is off limits. So that means you can hit your shells, you can hit your rims, you can hit your sticks together, you can hit accessories that may be around. You can use anything as a drum, and I'll try to build something for y'all. And, hopefully y'all can dig it, man. This is how I would build an open drum solo. as you can see, what I did multiple times throughout that solo is, like I said, I laid the foundation after figuring out the tones of the drums, which were many different grooves that I may have played throughout that open solo. But a lot of it is just your imagination. Have fun. I would like to say you could think about what you're going to play in the open solo, but a majority of the time, I don't really think about what I'm going to play. I just fill out what I'm going to play. And a lot of times that resonates with the people a lot more than having something maybe constructed. You can have a constructed solo where you know exactly what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. But this is my lesson, and I'm teaching y'all how I do things because I can't teach y'all how another person does it. So yeah, I lean heavy on what I feel in my heart to play and what feels good to me. A lot of the grooves that I play with my snare, like little... A lot of those things felt great because of the way that this snare feels to me. It has the perfect rebound, like, and that's not even me controlling the ghost note. It has great rebound. So being that felt great, and then my side snare felt a bit dead. It doesn't have a lot of rebound. It just drops, the sticks drops straight into the drum head for this snare. But then I have my toms here, I have my cymbals, and I have my favorite ride in the world, the 21-inch HHX Fierce Ride by Sabian that I love to play on. You could crash on it, you could hit the bell, you could hit the bow of the cymbal, and it doesn't overkill at all. So I had some fun with that. I had some fun with the crashes when I got hype and I got intense and you could feel the climax of a solo. And then I broke it down. I started playing on the rims of the drums, something that I don't do a whole lot, but I felt to do that in the moment, which is why I went to the rims. And that's all building a solo and doing an open solo is, in my opinion, is just having fun with what you have, right? So now I'm going to move into how I would play a solo if I'm playing a gig and we're playing a tune and the band drops out and they give me a quick 16 bars or 32 bars, or they drop out and say, play and just let us know when to come back in. Generally, what that would look like is... it'll look like you playing the song, you're playing the groove already, and then it'll be 1, 2, 3, boom, like that's you. Whenever the band drops out, it's you. And a lot of times what I like to do, and I would say pretty much all of the time, what I like to do is I'll start out with the groove that I'm already playing in that song, and I'll build upon it with ghost notes. I'll build upon it with extra kick drums or extra hi-hat notes, extra ride cymbals or crashes or whatever the source is. If I'm playing with the band and they drop out for me to do the solo, number one, I'm keeping the same groove. The same groove I was already playing on the song, I'm starting my solo out with it. And that's the foundation of my solo. That'll be the groove. That'll be what I set to do for the rest of the solo. Then I will build upon that groove and then venture off into other things. Like I said, it's all creativity from in your mind. But because this is coming out of a song and the groove already, I would say do your best to keep the foundation of that groove, keep the pace of the song while you're doing your solo. Don't venture off too far by doing different time signatures and things like that. But I would say keep that same groove, keep the same pace, and just add over top of it before you count your band back into the song. So right now, I will demonstrate how I would normally go about doing a solo while I'm already in a song. And I'm going to have to move this mic out of the way. So, yeah, y'all forgive me. I'm going to act like I'm the band, and we're going to go into a solo. All right. 1, 2, 3. So, as you can see, what I did is I counted myself off into the solo because it's just me on a one-man band right now. But if you're on a gig, somebody might catch you into the solo or they may just break. And what you got to do is you keep the foundation of that groove like I did. I kept playing the same groove, and then I started adding ghost notes. I started switching up the bass drum pattern a bit. Started adding more hi-hat hits, start hitting the cowbells, hitting the toms, kind of all while keeping the 2 and the 4 on the snare. I think that's extremely important as well, that you add that element into your solos. You could do what you do, but if you keep the 2 and the 4 on your snare, or I know lots of people like to use a clap stack. So like me having this stack over here is not a clap stack, but it's a stack, something that can represent hand claps. So if people are like, boom, don't be afraid. Like if you see people jamming and clapping to the beat, don't be afraid to interact with them. That's another piece of a drum solo. Even with open drum solos and with drum solos that you do in songs, interact with the crowd. It makes their experience better. It makes your experience better. Because when the crowd feels that they're interacting with their band, they feel a part of what's going on rather than just being the consumer. It's almost like they become the performer as well. So I'll give y'all an instance where I'll keep the clap going and do some crowd participation as well. So as I just demonstrated, I kept my stack going on the 2 and the 4. Why did I do that? Because it didn't lose the pace of the groove. And when people are dancing and jamming, like the first solo I did, I started doing what I like to call syncopated chops. And again, I learned that from Aaron Spears, another great, somebody that I learned from a lot. He would do these chops where you would kind of lose the 1, right? He did Beyond the Chops. And there's a person in the audience that said, hey, I notice a lot of times I have a hard time hearing where the 1 is when he's doing his chops. And I kind of developed that play style. And what I just put on display for y'all is me keeping the claps going on the 2 and the 4, whether that was with the stack or my hi-hat. There's always something that was representing the boom. Something that's always representing that 2 and that 4 to keep your groove going through your solo. Now, I will play an example of the syncopated chops versus the linear chops, which will all go along the grid. But the metronome will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Linear chops. So you can hear the difference between the syncopated chops, which kind of go off of the grid in terms of where the 2 and the 4 are. A lot of times I will misplace the snare hits or misplace where I do things just to kind of create a sense of different timing during those syncopated chops, but I will always land back on the 1 versus the linear chops, which all go onto the grid. That's how a lot of the linear fills sound, because they're all flowing with that 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is something that I use while I'm building my solos and when I'm playing through my solos. I try to use less of the syncopated chops through the actual song. So if I do chops in a song, more so doing the linear chops that are on the actual grid, because I don't want to throw anybody off. And that's a horrible feeling when, you know, you're doing a chop or you're doing something during a song and the artist looks back at you like, what you doing? Or the MD looks at you like, where's the 1? You don't really want that happening too often. You know, it's cool to have fun sometimes, but not a lot, you know. Well, I mean, it's always good to have fun, but not that kind of fun, because you can actually get fired for that. So I hope with these concepts that I just gave you, you could take these and apply these to your drumming. Practice playing open solos. Don't play with a metronome. Just figure out how your drums sound, figure out what feels best to you, and play it and see if that helps with you building solos. And then turn on the track or turn on the metronome and just play a straight groove, and then go into doing the solo and see if it feels natural to you. We want everything to feel natural that you're playing. I know I had some mistakes in my in my playing earlier, but that's what practice is for. That's what learning is for. I feel like the mistakes turn out to be lessons, okay? It's not a loss, it's a lesson. That's something that I love to say and something that I hope sticks with you. Appreciate y'all for coming back to the crib. I'm not going back upstairs to go to bed because I still feel like playing drums. So I'll talk to y'all next week. So we're here recording more lessons from the crib, and unfortunately the power in my neighborhood went out. We still got lights. Come on, Will. We still got lights. Let's get it. We love a challenge. Lessons from the crib. Let's go. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the crib. As y'all can see from the video intro, we did lose power in my community today. So we're just got a, makeshift setup going on here. And I'm going to get these lessons done for y'all any way that I can. So let's get into this one. All right, so today we are going to get into drum fills and adding them to your groove. What is a drum fill? A drum fill, in my opinion, is simply something that you use to transition to the next part of a song, or something that you use to transition from one part of a groove to another part of a groove. And I'll be showing y'all some examples of that today. We'll go over the difference between a drum fill or a lick and a chop. But for me, drum fills are, again, like I said, more simplified, and they kind of connect the dots. Again, like I said in my last video, when you add ghost notes and everything like that, they connect the dots when you're going from, like if you're playing a song, when you're going from the chorus to the verse, or the verse to the chorus, or the chorus to the bridge, you could play a drum fill to just make it like a segue into the next part of whatever song you're playing or whatever groove that you're playing. And a lot of times I like to keep my snare on the 2 and 4 while I'm doing a drum fill, just to kind of keep the groove consistent through me doing the fill. And sometimes I don't keep the snare on the 2 and the 4, but I make it something simple enough to that it doesn't mess up the groove, or it doesn't interrupt the pace of the actual groove. So here is our drum lick for the day, and this will be more of a concept for the drum fill rather than you having to use this specific drum fill. If you want to use it, you can, because it's yours now that I'm giving it to you. But I would like y'all to take this concept and run with it, like really run with it, okay? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this fill is one that I've been using for quite a while now, and it's extremely simple and clean cut, okay? When you're playing it in the groove, it gets straight to the point and it gets straight out of the point and gets you right back into your groove. Normally for a drum fill, I'll definitely crash on the end of it, which I didn't do the first time I did the drum lick, but I'll normally crash into it, whatever we're going into, whether that's the verse, whether that's the chorus, whether that's the bridge, I'll normally crash into it or maybe swell into it if the song calls for it. So, this groove broken down, and I'm going to read it right here, will be kick, kick, right, left, kick, right, kick, right, left. That's all it is. 2 on your feet, 3 on your hands, 1 on your foot, 3 on your hands. All right? That's all it is. It's very, very simple. And here it is again, slowed down. Slow down. So take the concept of this drum lick and apply it to whatever you're doing, whether you're playing a song, whether you're playing a groove, doing a clinic, playing a live show. Use this drum lick and it feels good once you really lock it in. And I would advise you to practice it and practice it and practice it to try and make sure that all of the notes are heard in this drum lick. That is the only way that I like to use it, is for all of the notes to be heard. Kind of at the same dynamic, but really, whatever you're playing, just play it to that dynamic level, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that is our drum lick for the day, our drum concept for the day. And use this lick, use this drum fill in whatever you're doing. And I'll see y'all when, I get out the bed. Lessons from the crib, maturity. What up, y'all? Welcome back to the crib. Today, we're going to go over a few things that I feel can mature your drumming. All right, it'll take you from little boy status to big boy status. Let's get into this. The number one thing that I feel like separates an immature drummer from a mature drummer is how they play their groove. Groove is something that I enforce in all of my mentees, all of my students. It's just to make your groove tighter. And that's simply what I'm going to help y'all do. When it comes to making the groove tighter, I like to focus on my hi-hats, which means I like to press down on my hi-hats just a little bit more, okay, to give them that tight feeling so they don't sound like tss, but they sound like t, t. Let me give y'all an example. So as you can hear, at first the hi-hats were just a little bit loose, and that's something that I find in, of course, a lot of beginner drummers. They don't really have the syncopation in their body built just yet to kind of lay into the hi-hats and keep them down, versus their foot just kind of hovering over the footboard of the hi-hat stand, making them sound loose and just kind of sloppy, to be honest. So along with tighter hi-hat, I like to focus on hitting rim shots on my snare. For those of you who don't know, a rim shot is when your stick is hitting the drum head and the rim at the same time. So a lot of times how I like to make sure that that happens is, first, I'll have a comfortable snare height, okay? So where I'm not like this in playing, and where I'm not playing like this and always hitting my leg. A lot of times I do hit my leg, but sometimes I don't. Okay? A lot of times that just comes from me. You can kind of hear the smack that happens as your stick hits the rim as well as the drum head. And a lot of times what I find drummers doing, especially when they're first starting off, is they'll take the tip of the drumstick and they'll play into the middle of the drum head or into closer of the edge of the drum head, which I hate very, very much. So let's fix that, okay? So we're going to come from these kind of hits to these kind of hits. All right, and a big thing is to focus on you hitting the middle of your snare drum. If I had a pencil right now or a pen or a marker, I would draw a circle and just kind of look for the middle of a snare drum, right? So it's like if you're doing target practice and you're using a bow and arrow, you want to hit the center of that target every single time. That's what you should aim for when you're playing your grooves, to make them fuller and sounding fatter and more mature, because that's what we're here for, everybody. All right, so you want to hit the middle of your drum as a rim shot. And sometimes it may work, depending on what style of music you're playing, to hit the edge of the drum, but also as a rim shot. Right? That sounds a lot different and a lot thinner than it does if you hit the middle of your snare. And remember, not this, but this. And rim shots aren't an easy thing to achieve. They do take practice. They do take practice. They do take practice. They do take practice. Okay? So if I'm playing a groove, you want to dynamically hit your snare and hit your hi-hat so that they're balanced with each other and one thing isn't louder than another. That's another thing that takes your drumming to that mature level, when you understand dynamics between your kick drum, your snare, and your hi-hats. So I'm going to play a groove where I hear a lot of beginners or sometimes intermediate drummers play versus how I hear professional musicians play. All right, here's the beginner intermediate type of groove. Right? Very loose and kind of not confident. Let's help you build some confidence. Right? So if you're playing an award show or you're playing in a stadium or an arena or somewhere of that sort, you're more likely going to be playing like that unless you're required to play softer with a lot less dynamic and a little more loose, which can be the case sometimes depending on the style of music, like I said. Another thing that I would like to go over to help you get into that next level of not just being a drummer, but into that next level of musicianship is your preparation for a gig. And this is just the talking point where I'll give y'all a few gems on how I prepare for gigs. When you show up to your rehearsal, we're going to start at rehearsals, okay? When you show up to a rehearsal, always aim to know your music ahead of time. Even if you aren't perfect or aren't able to get the perfect practice in, at least do your best to retain the music so that when you get to rehearsals, you aren't learning the music inside of the rehearsals. To me, that is extremely unprofessional because you pay, well, not you, but most of the times the artist or the band leader will pay for a rehearsal space. Let's say you're doing a 2-hour rehearsal space. That could be $100. That could be $150. They're not paying $150 for you to go inside and say, what was that? It's okay to try to catch some lines that you may not have caught before the rehearsal, but I would say try to maximize that to one line. Try to maximize that to one line that you may not know while you're playing, going over the music before the rehearsal, because when you get into the rehearsal with professionals, most of the times we're flying through the rehearsals. We're not sitting there for hours and hours and hours trying to learn the music. if we're sitting there for hours and hours and hours, that's trying to perfect the music. It's perfecting what you already learned before the rehearsal. Okay? It's not getting to the rehearsal and then learning the music. Another thing that I would say is when you get the time, sit down on your instrument. After you learn the music for a gig, sit down on your instrument and practice how you're going to play the music. Practice your approach. Practice what tones you're going to use for the gig. If you're playing a top 40s gig where you're playing rock and roll, you're playing soul, jazz, funk, all of this other stuff, if I haven't already said pop, if you're playing pop, you got to try and tune your drum set to fit all of these styles. It can be a difficult thing to do, but once you nail it, you got it in the bag. Another thing that has helped me grow in my musicality and maturity as a musician is what I listen to. I would advise y'all to listen to whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to play live shows, if you want to play award shows, if you want to play on TV shows, whatever you want to play, I advise you to listen to that and do your best to master the concept of what it is to even do what it is that you want to do. And I promise you that's going to take you far. So what you listen to matters, okay? Developing your identity. Developing your identity is a huge part of your maturity as a musician and as a person. I'm a firm believer that your identity behind your instrument comes from your identity in your personal life. If you don't know who you are in your personal life, then I'm a firm believer that you don't know who you are when you sit down to play music. You're always going to be sitting down trying to copy and do what someone else is doing instead of living in your own identity and who you are. And from you developing your own identity, I feel comes the confidence that you should have as you're playing. So how I develop my identity by listening to other people that inspire me, whether that's inspire me to do good or inspire me to do bad, okay? I'll listen to those, since we're in music terms, I'll listen to those drummers that inspire me the most. I'll listen to drummers that don't inspire me at all, just so I can see what not to do and what I don't like versus what I do like and what I do want to do. If I'm practicing, I'll mess up and I'll be like, oh, that wasn't bad. And I'll come back to that mess up and make it something great. That's what discovering your identity is. It's taking the things that you're listening to and applying yourself to them, picking out the things that you like and filling in the gaps of what you don't like from what you saw with yourself and vice versa. And a lot of times I feel like after you understand who you are personally, it'll translate through you musically. And since I did mention confidence, your confidence, in my opinion, comes from you getting your reps in, right? If I'm downstairs every day and I'm, let's say my left hand is weak and I'm downstairs, practicing left hand exercises, and then I get to a live show and I got to play that left hand exercise or I got to play something with a strong left hand, I now have the confidence to kind of play it, but your experience will also sit on top of your reputations. So as you do it more and more and more in your home, you'll gain the confidence to do it on the gig. But as you do more and more gigs, you will have extreme confidence to do it on any platform that you're on. And when I say it, that's you doing whatever it is that you want to do. Another thing that I had to understand as I became a mature drummer and really started gigging and traveling more is my job as the drummer. We always hear that the job's drummer is to keep the tempo. No, everybody in the band should be keeping the tempo. Everybody in the band should have good timing. That is not your only job as a drummer. Your job as a drummer is, however, to set the foundation of the groove. You do have to keep tempo a lot of times where you might just be keeping the hi-hats as the singer singing or whatever like that. You may be doing quarter notes on a ride and eighths on the hi-hats like... like those kind of things, that's your job as a drummer for sure. But be the solid foundation to your band and to the artist and whatever it is you're doing. You have to be the solid foundation because, as we all know, drums are the heartbeat of the band. And be confident when you play because people can feel when you're not confident. people can feel when you're second guessing yourself. And when you're second guessing yourself, oftentimes you'll end up leading yourself right into making mistakes. So I would say do your best to build your confidence by getting those reps in during practice and taking different experiences that you can. Go to some jam sessions, sit in with a band just to get comfortable with playing in front of people. You know what I mean? Different techniques that you could use, going to concerts and all of this kind of thing to help build your confidence as a musician. Also, right now, I want to go over sound selection. As it comes to maturing as a drummer, your sound selection matters. So I have 3 different snares here that allow me to play 3 different genres if I want to. And I'm going to explain that right now. So if I want to play funk, right, I got these hi-hats, and then I have regular hi-hats. And more likely, if I'm playing funk, I'm staying on this piccolo snare right here. Right? If I'm playing funk, I would use this combo right here, or this triple combo, whatever it would be called. And then if I'm playing like a country blues ballad, or something like that, or I'm playing a blues shuffle and they want more of a deeper snare. If I'm playing a blues shuffle, I can go either this main snare or I can go my side snare. And this is how both of them sound. So the deep snare gives it more of a dirty, rugged sound, and the high snare just gives it more of a drive, right? But if I'm playing something like country, where it's just a like country rock 2 and 4 simple groove, I could use the deep snare. And even if I'm playing like a sad country song, right, a slower tempo ballad type country song, I could play that on the deep snare as well. So I can either go 2 ways with it. I can go here. And notice there, I didn't have my hi-hats very tight. I loosened them up because, like I said earlier, depending on what song or what genre you're playing, you may need those hi-hats to be just a tad loose, okay? Just to kind of fill in that space and give it a little wash. But then, over here, I have my 10-inch snare, which I would use for trap music. Or like some techno music, It can go like this. It can go a little like this. And that's why I say sound selection is extremely important, because it allows you to replicate records. I'm afforded to have pretty much all of the drums that I need and want at my disposal in my home studio, but not everybody has the luxury of having all of these drums. So I would say do your best to dive in to how to tune, because you can achieve a lot of different tones from almost any drum, but do your best to select the tones that work best for your gig. And I promise you, it'll pay off. Music directors and artists really, 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 really appreciate when a drummer has sounds that are close to the actual records that they're playing on the gig. All right? Always remember that. They appreciate it whether they say so or not. When doing drum fills is when I like to keep my hi-hat foot going a majority of the time, because it allows you to keep the pace of the song while you're segueing into the chorus or the bridge or the verse or whatever it may be. So I'll show y'all the difference of sound between not having your hi-hat foot going and having your hi-hat foot going. Here we go. So as you can notice, there's a clear, in my opinion, difference to having your hi-hat foot going and not having your hi-hat foot going. And most of the times I feel like this can separate the boys from the men as well when you're going into doing your fills that'll segue you into the next part of a song. Now that y'all have the tools, please take them to your practice room and practice them, all right? And hopefully y'all will be playing these on the gig in no time. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning back into the crib. Now get out my house. Lessons from the crib. Get your chops up. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the crib. Today, I got chops for y'all. These are chops that you could apply anywhere. You could do them in sheds. You could do them on shows. Wherever you see fit to do these chops and wherever they are accepted, you can go ahead and roll with these joints. These are chops that I do quite often. If you watch my videos enough, you'll see some repeats of me doing these chops. But I would like to supply you all with these chops in hopes that y'all take them to the next level. Like, just fly with these joints. So, let's get straight into this joint, man. First, I would like to show you all a chop that I use based off of a paradiddle. And it goes a little something like this. So most times with this chop, I'm doing the kick at the end of the paradiddle, and a lot of times I'll also do the kick on the first beat of this paradiddle, which is right, left, right, right. Okay, paradiddle. Just 4 simple notes that I turn into a chop. You could use them as a regular drum fill if you want, but I normally apply these to my drum chops. So I'll play a little sequence and show you the different ways that I use this one chop. Once again, that is right, left, right, right, kick, or playing the kick drum at the same time that you do the right, left, right, right. So I'll move it around the drum set, play it at different tempos for y'all, and let's see what it do. And there are a few variations that you could use with this one drum lick to turn it into different drum chops and things like that. You can either play a flam at the beginning of it if you want, or you can add an extra tap, so it'll make it like a paradiddle tap at the end. So it'll be. What's called the blush style, you can play it a bunch of different ways. I'll play the chop with the flam at the top. I'll play it as just normal with no flam, of course. I'll play it with the tap, and I'll kind of like double up on it, so it'll be like however you want to like mouth the chop, that's how I'll do it. So let's get into playing this one. Chop number 2 comes from doubles. Lots of times people ask me, oh, how do you develop your chops? And, oh, what are you playing when you're playing this chop? Most of the times, I'm just playing singles and doubles. That's literally it. So this one is going to come from doubles, but I'll show you how you can apply these doubles around the kit and make them sound a little more complex than they already are. You can place the foot on different parts of your doubles. You can place them with your right hand. You can place them with your left hand. You can place them with both hands. I'll be going over all of that right here, right now. Doubles. Add your foot. So you can have tons of fun with just playing doubles. Y'all saw me add some sweeps in there. I actually got that from one of my drum heroes, Aaron Spears, the late great. Love you, Aaron. Miss you. Wish you were still here with us. But I actually got those sweeps from him. A lot of times you'll watch his videos, he'll do drum sweeps from the ride cymbal to the hi-hat. And what I did is I saw that and was like, oh, that's crazy. And I expanded on it. And as y'all saw, I tried to make this reach from my right crash cymbal to my left crash cymbal. It didn't go so well, but that's the joy and fun of learning different concepts and different chops, because you can just apply yourself to them. Number 3, this is called the windmill chop, made popular to me by one of my mentors, Jeremy Wimbush. And it's just, 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 notes on your hands, and your foot will also go with it. So it will be. All right. So your foot goes with your first 2 notes and your last note, which will be on your right hand. So your foot will go with your right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, boom, boom, right. But when you play it fast, it sounds and looks very, very cool. And it looks a lot more and sounds a lot more complex than it actually is. And here's how that sounds. Number 4 is a chop that I use, and it goes back to playing the paradiddles with your foot, but this time your foot will be in between your paradiddles, and you can keep your right hand on your toms or really anywhere that you want. And it sounds a little something like this. Kick left, right, left, left. Kick left, right, left, left. That's all it is. Kick left, right, left, left. Kick paradiddle. Kick paradiddle. Right? So that is a left hand builder. All right, so y'all can take that lick and also use it as an exercise to build your left hand strength, okay, and your left hand mobility, your left hand durability, you know? So, all right, number 5 is going to be something that I play a lot of times between my crashes and my snares at the end of a song. A lot of times at the end of a song, you got a big bang like, and you just go crazy, right? So I like to use this one every time that I play the end of a song because it sounds and look very cool. All this one is kick, flam, kick, right, right, left. Kick, flam, kick, right, right, left. Right? Now let me move this mic so I can really get nasty with it. Lessons from the crib. I once was weak, but now I'm strong. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the crib. Today, we are going to be going over how to build your weak hand strength. For lots of drummers, we are right-handed, and for some of y'all who are just aliens or something like that, y'all are left-handed. So your weak hand may be your right hand, but for us right-hand drummers, most times our weak hand is our left hand. I got a couple exercises for y'all today, and I have a groove that I would hope you all are able to play by the end of this lesson that'll help y'all build your weak hand strength. First, we're going to go over your grip, meaning your stick grip, and your posture while you're playing, because these two things are extremely essential to building your left hand strength. So first, we're going to get into your stick grip and your posture while you're playing, because these two things I feel are the most essential things that will allow you to develop a stronger and more consistent left hand or weak hand in that case. With stick grip, I don't hold my stick like this. My hands don't connect when I'm holding my drumstick, but most times I'll have my thumb on the side of my stick, and I'll have my first finger just, about the same of where my thumb tip is, if that makes sense. Hopefully y'all can see that up close and personal. And then my middle finger, my ring finger, and my pinky are all kind of slanted down, if that makes sense. It may not be the best for your long-term playing, but this is what's comfortable for me. And I do want to put this disclaimer out there. While that may not be best for your hand health, you can develop arthritis over time and you can develop carpal tunnel over time. But this is what's comfortable for me, and that's just a bullet that you'll have to be willing to bite if you decide to use the stick grip technique that I use. Please do your own research and studies so that you can see what works best for you, okay? Back to the lesson. When you are playing, you want to be as relaxed as possible. The more tense you are, the more energy you're putting out, and the less durability and less consistency you'll be able to have, because you're going to be so tight and you won't be able to play like that for a very long time. All right, so stick grip, like I said, it's very, very loose and relaxed, but not loose to the point where if I do like this, the stick falls out my hand. No, I try my best not to drop sticks, okay? Getting into posture, generally I like to sit up straight and kind of over my drums. I set my snare drum at a height that is comfortable for me to relax my shoulders to where I'm not playing like this, or I'm not playing, completely like this to where my neck is all, out of shape and everything like that. But I like to be as relaxed as I can be. I like to have my snare kind of directly in between my legs, and I'll have my foot, or my leg, should I say, just kind of straight forward, not too wide out or not too close in, because that can get uncomfortable around your thigh area. And one time I did get diagnosed from my chiropractor with having a hip bone like jammed into my leg bone, just because I used to sit very low and I used to have my legs high when I played, and I used to play with this crazy tilt on my snare, and you don't want that to happen. So over time, I've read books and studied about just your anatomy. When you're drumming, I'll definitely say it's best to sit just a little above your drums to where your leg is not straight and it's not too high, but it is relaxed in a position to where your knees aren't crunched up when you play. And with your snare height, generally I like to have it just above my leg, like just literally a tad bit above my leg, so that when I hit my snare, I'm not also hitting my leg as well, because over time that can start to hurt. And trust me, I know, because I used to be a leg hitter. All right. Also, with your snare angle, I've learned that it's better to kind of play at a flat angle instead of having your snare tilted too far away from you or too close to you, because if it's too close to you, you'll be hitting like this all the time instead of hitting properly, like right on the snare. Okay. Here's an example of hitting your snare being relaxed as you can be. Now, sometimes I do get lazy and my hand kind of falls when I hit my snare, and I'll actually hit my leg because I do have my snare close to where my leg is. But again, you got to try to be intentional about not hitting your leg, because over time you will hurt yourself. All right. And I'm all for not hurting yourself as you're playing the drums, because it's supposed to be fun, right? You don't want to get injured or anything like that. But if it does happen, I'm sorry about that. Getting into exercise one. Exercise one will be solely based around playing quarter notes. And with these quarter notes, we will dynamically play these quarter notes, and we'll change up where the accents are, and we'll make the accents on your weak hand, making the focus being building your weak hand dynamically, okay? So generally when we're playing quarter notes, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But each whole note is broken up into 4, okay? So it'll be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and all right? What we're going to do is we're going to play our single strokes, starting off with our right hand and starting off with our left hand. And why we're going to start with each hand is because that's where it'll be easiest to accent the different notes, whether it's the 1, whether it's the E, whether it's the and, or whether it's the So here's an example of our first exercise for the day. We're going to play all notes at the same level, and you could do this soft, you could do this medium volume, or you could do this at a high volume. But I recommend that you do anything soft, because you want to be able to play everything that you can play loud, soft as well. So let's get into this exercise. Get your drum pad out, get your snare out, get whatever out. Let's get to it. So first we started with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we went to the eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then we went to 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Now, if you practice that at any tempo, really, I'm not sure how fast or slow y'all are going along with this lesson, but any tempo will work fine. You start those all at the same dynamic level, not one note louder than another, and then you could switch it up. You could play your right hand softer than your left hand, or your left hand softer than your right hand. And here's an example of how that would sound. I'll start off playing my left hand softer than my right hand. Now I'll play my left hand louder than my right hand. Now, we're going to move on to switching our accents, okay? So I told you we have the 1 E and What we're going to do is whatever your weak hand is, mine is my left hand, so I'm going to use my left hand for this specific exercise. We're going to switch our accents onto the 1, onto the E, onto the and onto the So during this exercise, when we are focusing on putting our accents on the 1 and the and, we're going to start our singles with our left hand. But when we're focusing the accents on the E and the we're going to start our singles with the right hand. And, you know, it may be opposite for you if your weak hand is not my weak hand and your strong hand is not my strong hand. All right, let's get into this exercise. And now we're going to put our accents on the 1 and the and. So like I said, you will start those with your left hand. Now, if I'm switching the accents to the E and the I'm going to start the singles with my right hand, and here's how it sounds. Just putting the accents on E, and then we're going to do the accents on E and All right? Not E and but E, All right. Now I'm going to show you all how these accents sound, and I'm going to do my best for y'all, okay? To make these accents go from 1 to E to and to Here we go. All right, so through that, if you're counting 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and you'll hear where the accents are being placed, and they'll also be written down on the screen. So wherever you see the little arrow over top of the 1, the E, the and, the 2, the E, the and, the 3, the and, the and. You know, wherever you see the accent over top or the little arrow, that's where you're going to accent with your weak hand. Exercise 2, we're going to be using ghost notes to develop our weak hand strength and our weak hand durability through when we play. We're going to be throwing some subtle ghost notes in there, and we're going to be throwing some very intentional, loud ghost notes in. All right? So get your left hand or your right hand ready to play some ghost notes. Let's get it. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Then we're going to switch it up to 1E, 1E, And here on this exercise, we'll practice playing our ghost notes softer, at the same volume, and a little louder than our accented hits. All right? Here's how that sounds. You come on, you still got your pad out, right? Okay, cool. Let's go. And if we play them faster, then we'll be able to do a lot of different ghost note things. All right? Fast, slow, but very, very fast. And after practicing that at different speeds, you'll be able to essentially get it like this. All right, and through this, you'll be able to move your ghost notes or your single hits through each drum like this. So that exercise over time will allow you to build your left hand strength and your left hand mobility around the drum kit as well.
Hey, Haze.
Yes, sir.
Are you using your wrist more than your fingers, or your fingers more than your wrist?
Interesting question. Okay, so the use of my wrists versus my fingers just simply depends on how I'm trying to play my ghost notes. If I want my ghost notes or my left hand notes or my weak hand notes to be heard very distinctly, I'll use my wrist because that allows me to give more power through playing my ghost notes. If I'm trying to play subtle notes, just the little in-betweens like I'll use my fingers because they're not as powerful and they're just a little easier to work with when you're just playing little subtle notes in between the main grooves or your main chops or whatever you're playing. So that's the difference between using your fingers and your wrists when playing ghost notes. Now, we're going to get into our groove of the day. All right? Our groove of the day, which you should be able to play by now, even if it's at a slower tempo. Don't worry about running with the groove too fast, okay? It may sound good when it's very fast, but trust me, you have to start slow. You got to crawl before you can walk, Okay? Walk before you can run. All right? So here's our groove of the day. Now, I like to play a couple variations of this groove, but simply broken down, it is. And also, when picking up how to play this groove or this pattern, whatever you want to call it, you'll also be able to build your foot strength along the process of building your hand strength. So again, here is the groove. And that's how you literally torch your left hand. So through this lesson, we've covered a couple exercises that'll allow y'all to build your left hand, and it happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight, okay? For some of y'all might be that great that it does happen overnight, and if so, then kudos to you. But for some of y'all, it may take a little time. For years and years and years, it's taken me like a long time to develop consistency and discipline and control in my left hand. So through these exercises, you'll be able to build the control that you want, the speed that you want, the accuracy that you want with just staying relaxed and being poised while you're playing it. And over time, you'll be able to get to our groove of the day. You'll be able to play it slow. You'll be able to play it fast. And like I said, there are a bunch of different variations that I use when I play the groove. But either way, they all sound cool. Thank y'all for tuning in to Lessons from the Crib. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace, 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 peace. Lessons from the Crib. INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means, man? What up, y'all? Welcome back to the crib. Today, we'll be going over one of the most challenging but rewarding aspects of drumming, and that is the ability to control each limb separately, allowing for more complex rhythms, grooves, and fills. Whether you're a new drummer or whether you have tons of experience, developing independence is essential for your growth as a drummer. Today, I'm gonna give y'all one single exercise that is a groove that I like to use for building independence for my drumming. Through this lesson, we will have 4 different rhythms going on, okay? That's between our right hand, our right foot, our left foot, and our left hand doing side stick. By building your independence between each one of your limbs, it'll allow you to stretch across any genre of music and build your vocabulary to limitless chops, fills, grooves, or whatever you want to do behind the drum set. But having that total freedom while playing is what it's all about. So today our lesson will be an Afro-Cuban groove, which consists of a 2-3 clave and doing some triples in your right hand, doing some doubles on your feet, and just literally doing singles on your left foot. I try to break everything down to its simplest form. So as always, we're going to count between 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, because every beat falls on one of those notes. First, we're going to get the motor started. Okay, we're going to crank up the engine, and we're going to use our right hand to do 3 simple hits on our ride cymbal. I always like to use the ride cymbal because I'm using my hi-hat for something else. You can use your ride cymbal, you can use the rim of your drum, you can use your crash cymbal, whatever you want to use, except for your actual hi-hat. So the first one is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Your foot is going to be placed on beats 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Your left foot is going to be placed on 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. And your left hand as a side stick is going to be 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Again, that is 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Okay? That is the most difficult rhythm out of the 3, but we're going to get into it. Here's how they all sound together. I'll play it a little slower. All right, as I said, we have 4 limbs, and we're going to break this down into 4 parts. But what we'll do is we'll start with one and gradually add another piece. Kind of flow together whenever you're actually getting into it and doing it repetitiously. Is repetitiously a word?
Repetitiously means to do or say something over and over again, especially in a way that is boring.
So I'll start with my right hand, and then I'll add my right foot, and then I'll add my left foot. And to top it off, I'll add that side stick on the snare, which would be my left hand. And when you're doing anything with independence, I believe that it's important to count out loud while you're trying to break everything down, because that'll help you to develop the flow and the feeling through your body as you count out loud, okay? So I'm going to count out loud while I do my right hand. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and ready and go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E And keep in mind, this exercise isn't about how fast you can play it right out the gate, okay? This exercise is about building that feeling between your limbs and getting your limbs comfortable with each other, playing 4 different parts of this groove. And I'll give you an exercise that can help with even building yourself up to that point. And this will be just doing singles and doubles between your hands and your feet, which will look a little something like this. Now that will help you develop that coordination between your hands and feet as they're played together. But if you want to play them separately, what I would suggest is starting each note on 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be doing quarter notes with your right hand, right foot, left hand, left foot, or whatever combination feels best for you to play it. All right, so it'll go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As I'm counting out loud, you'll notice I'll hit a different drum or use a different limb, should I say, on each beat. And if you play it faster, it'll be something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't sound like much at all, and it actually sounds very discombobulated, but that allows you to gain control over each one of your limbs as you're playing through your exercise. Another exercise we can use, it will be something to help build just the foundation as well of what coordination is between your limbs. So we're going to play our 8th notes on a ride cymbal. We're going to play our bass drum on 1 and 3. We're going to play quarter notes, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, on our hi-hat with our left foot. And then we're going to play our snare on beats 2 and beats 4. All right, it'll sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's an exercise that'll help you build some basic coordination between all of your limbs to get you flowing nice and easy. And again, you don't even have to be behind the drum set to do this specific exercise. You can be building your basic independence just in your daily life, whether you're at work, whether you're at school, whether you're at home watching a football game, you could be doing this, okay? So it'll be 8th notes in your right hand. So my tempo is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right hand will go 8th notes. Ready, set, and go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and then my bass drum is gonna go on my 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. My snare on my left hand, 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then your left foot, just tap it as quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, And then if I am behind the drum set, it'll be like this. And now for my more advanced drummers, what I'll do is I'll give a couple variations of me playing quarter notes, eighth notes, and switching my accents between my right hand, my left hand, maybe my right foot and my left foot, of just some different independence things that I've learned over the years. And yeah, once you begin to practice the basic foundation of independence, which would be that groove that we just went over, you'll be able to start playing with your accents and everything like that. So here's just a variation of, some ways that you could play around with your independence and accents. By practicing these things each day, you will build your independence to where it starts to just feel like nothing when you want to switch the beats on your right foot, your left hand, or your right hand through whatever groove or chops that you are playing. You'll also build control between each of your limbs as you're doing these exercises. And if we want to make things more complex with just some basic foundation of independence, we'll start going between your hands and your feet with eighth notes. So it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you'll play your left hand on your snare on your 2 and the 4. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you could play your ride as eighth notes, or you could play your ride as 16th notes after you've developed your hand strength and speed to be able to do these things. And it'll sound a little something like this. Over time, as you can see, I just fumbled the bag just a little tiny bit, but that is a simple but yet more complex way of building your independence between your hands and your feet. So by combining these exercises and combining the Afro-Cuban groove, you'll be able to freely play different chops, different licks, different grooves in different genres of music. I appreciate y'all for coming back to the crib with me. And like I always say, be consistent in your practice. That's the only way that you're going to build any sort of strength, any sort of speed, and any sort of durability while playing your drums. Also, focus on your control. Focus on this limb independence so that you'll be able to control the dynamics between your limbs when you're playing different grooves. That allows for you to add a lot more sauce and feel into your grooves, chops, and licks. All right, I'm going to play us out with a little something that I learned over the years. And if you're at home and you want to play as well, let's play together. crib. Let's build. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the crib. Today we're going to be going over one of the most requested videos about how I start off my drum chops. So yeah, let's get to building. So first things first, when I do my drum chops, I don't necessarily think about anything, to be honest. I go off of what I feel, but over the years I've learned that's not the best way to explain it. So right now I'll do my best to explain to y'all how I start my chops and kind of my concept of how I go through with finishing my chops as well. So to begin with how I start my chops, I have two ways. I do this pattern, which is kick, kick, left, right, left, left. Kick, kick, left, right, left, left. There's an accent on your first left hand, and the second two left hands are just subtle ghost notes. That's one way that I start my chops. And the second is kick, kick, right, left, right. Kick, kick, right, left, right. Or kick, right, left, right. Kick, right, left, right. And essentially, those two phrases are what I do to begin each one of my chops. So if I'm playing a groove or I'm doing a solo or anything like that, if you watch any of my videos before, you'll notice that I start with either that first one or I'll start off with the second phrase. So variation 1 would start off a little something like this. Starting it off with the kick, kick, left, right, left, left, you could place that anywhere in your phrase. So if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can start on the 1, you can start on the 2, you can start on the 3, or you can start on the 4, or anywhere in between each one of those notes. Here's how it sound if you started on the 1, 2, the 3, or the 4. Most of the times, me starting it off with the kick, kick, left, right, left, left, that'll happen either before the bar or a little into the bar. Bar being 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one bar of 4 beats, okay? So generally, I'll start my chop a little before or a little after that 1. And here's how it sounds starting before the 1. Here's how it sounds after the 1. Depending on whatever song I'm playing or how I feel in that moment, I'll start it before the 1 or I'll start it after the 1. There's no real thing where I'm like, oh, I'm going to start it before, or I'm going to start it after here or there. It's just simply how I feel in the moment and what I think fits the music best. Now, starting off with phrase number 2, which was, I will generally just play that same, like before or after the one of whatever bar I'm taking a space on. And when I say taking a space, that means that I'm doing a chop throughout that full bar. So that generally would sound something like this. So there, in that example, I played it before beat 1 and I played it after beat 1. And this simple kick, kick, right, left, right. Or kick, right, left, right. Just depending on where you want to start the chop. And after that, you can go into any of the chops or licks that you would normally do, whether that's right, left, kick, kick, or anything like that, to finish out the phrase. Starting this chop before the 1 sounds a bit like this. Starting that phrase off after the 1 sounds like this. And those simply are 2 variations that I use to start off almost any chop that you'll ever hear or see me do. Now, finishing the chop, you always have to make sure you land on the 1 of the bar after the chop. Okay? So if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, chop, 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 crash on the 1. All right, you always want to make sure that you're crashing on the 1 because it's like you're making a sentence, right? If you're writing a sentence, you have to end it some way. You can end it with the period. That crash could be the period, but a lot of times in a situation, that crash is going to be the exclamation mark. Thank you, Will, for that, because it is a big crash on your 1. You can apply both of these phrases to linear fills or to what I like to call syncopated drum fills, which kind of flow behind the beat. To where if you're not keeping that 1 in your brain, you may get twisted up in your counting just a tad before the drummer comes back to crash on the 1. So here's how I'll play it if I'm just playing everything on the grid, which is what we call linear drumming. So that's phrase number 1 as a linear drum chop starter. Now playing it as more of the syncopated rhythm sounds a bit like this. So generally, if you want to play the more syncopated version, you would start before beat 1. But if you want to play the more linear style, you would start after beat 1, closer to beat 2. And those are 2 variations of how I start all of my drum chops. This has been a widely requested topic, and that was one of the best ways that I can explain it to y'all. I literally have 2 ways that I start, and anything else after that is just chops or fills or rhythms that I've picked up over my years of playing and experience and grabbing different, things from my inspirations. So I would suggest that you have your inspirations, you learn what they do, but don't learn what they do too much to the point where you're not doing what you want to do, because you got to incorporate yourself and your creativity into your playing, and that's how you develop your style. So again, that was 2 variations of how I start each one of my drum chops, and how I end each one is always on the 1. Okay, unless the music or music director wants me to end it on the 2 or the 3, then I'll just kind of extend my drum fill to end on whatever beat that we're all ending on. Appreciate y'all for tuning back into Lessons from the Crib. This has been how I start my drum chops. I'm hoping that this was useful information that y'all can use to start your chops if you ever hit that roadblock. All right? I appreciate y'all. Peace. Lessons from the Crib. We phrasing today, baby. Let's get it. My peoples, welcome back to the crib. Today, we're diving into a crucial concept for developing your groove and creativity. We're talking about phrasing, okay? Whether you're playing in a jazz band, rock ensemble, or just doing a solo, understanding phrasing will help take your drumming to the next level. Well, what is phrasing? Just what is it? Phrasing. Think about language. When you speak, you don't just rattle off and babble into a series of words like I do sometimes, but you form sentences, you pause for emphasis, and you change your tone depending on what your conversation is. And the same with drumming. When you're playing drums, you use a bunch of different patterns and dynamics to express and create different rhythms, different grooves, and different chops. A lot of what phrasing is knowing when to play, knowing when not to play, which is leaving space. Just like when you're having a conversation with somebody, you got to know when to speak and know when not to speak and just listen. And another piece of phrasing is just basically knowing how to fit your musical rhythms into a musical context. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to start with a basic example of what phrasing is. We'll take a simple 4-bar phrase with just the snare and the bass drum. And that pattern will be... We won't use the bagaps, but we'll just use straight 2 and 4 on the bass drum and the snare, and we'll build a phrase around that. So, you notice how between each note, they all come together to feel like a complete unit, right? It's like forming a short sentence, right? And when we play at the slower pace, it's allowing the groove or the feel, the room that it needs to breathe and create itself. Now, let's dive into space when you're playing. Space is just as important as the notes that you are actually playing. Most of the times when you're playing drums, you want to make decisions, right? So you make the decision to play a note. You make the decision not to play a note. And when you're playing too many notes, it sounds like confusion. But space is what creates that understanding for the listener, whether you're playing a show, whether you're doing lessons, or whether you're doing videos. It allows that listener to really grasp what you are saying. And a lot of times people would say there is a lot of knowledge in the space. And a phrase that I like to use very often is, it's not about what you play, but it's about what you don't play as well. The reason why I'm driving home the point of leaving space so hard is because generally you'll be playing with the band, guitar or guitarist, a bass player, keyboard player, or whether you're playing with a 60-piece or 100-piece orchestra behind you, you have to allow the song and the moments to breathe just as much as you want to play. A lot of magic happens in between the space that you leave. So if you're playing the groove and you want to just do chops or do fills over every piece of the groove, you're leaving no room for any of the other musicians to do what they have to do in order to create the feel and the vibe for whatever the song is. If you overload your phrases with too many notes, then it's just going to all sound and feel very cluttered. But the space in between the notes that you're playing gives you the space to speak. So let's take the pattern that we just played between the bass drum and the snare, as simple as it is. Let's take that pattern and we're going to give it some space, okay? I'm going to play it cluttery at first with a lot of notes in between, and then I'll play it with the space in between and let you be the judge of which one allows you to obtain the information from the groove more. So even just right there, you can feel and hear the difference between a simple groove where you're leaving space and a simple groove that you're making extremely complex and cluttered by filling in all of those gaps in between your kick, snare. Most of the times in your musical context, you're getting paid to play kick, snare. Not that exact pattern, but you're getting paid to play less. You're not trying to take the shine over every gig or everything that you're doing, but you want to allow the music the room to breathe so that the listener or the consumer can really take in whatever the song is saying. Now, let's expand this phrase. All right, so we're going to take the idea of playing kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, and instead of just playing a 4-bar pattern, let's just add a couple more bars and we'll stretch it out with a call and response. All right? In this call and response, let's lay a groove down together. All right? So I'll play the groove at first with just 1 bar of the groove and then you can hop in. I'll take a space, you'll take a space. All right? So I'll play, boom, scat, boom, scat, and then I'll do a little chop, boom, and then I'll leave space for you to do your chop in your groove, and then I'll jump back in. So it's kind of like a virtual share, and we're helping each other get better, right? Right. Let's get it. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready, hop in? 1, 2, 3, hop in. Now I'm gonna play my phrase. You just play the groove. Now you play your phrase. Go. Now let's play the groove together. Now, through that little call and response back and forth, you were able to understand how you could perceive what I'm playing. And as I lay back from doing my phrasing and allowing you the space to do your thing, I can perceive what you're doing and understand it a lot better because I'm not playing a lot of notes. If I'm playing a lot of notes and you're playing a lot of notes together, it's just very, very cluttered and very jumbled, and we're never going to understand each other. It's like us talking to each other literally at the same time. That's not going to go well because I got to get my thoughts out and you got to hear and understand and then respond. So that's the call and response little activity that we just did there. Give yourself a hand. I heard you over there cooking up. Let's get it. Now, another piece of phrasing is literally coming from simple to complex, but you got to do it in the way that it's building. You know, you're making building blocks. So you got to set the foundation, and then you start adding your brick, and you start piecing it all together, and eventually you will form a house. You'll form a mansion. You'll form a hospital. Whatever you're building, you'll form it after your foundation is set. So right now, what I'll do is I'll take that simple groove, we're sticking with this groove today. I know it's simple. If you're advanced, I'm sorry that I'm boring you. But not everybody's on your level, okay? All right, I'm going to take this. We're going to take this simple groove, and we're just going to build upon it. And the phrasing that I'll do is I'll keep the 2 and 4 on the snare. No matter where I play outside of this 2 and the 4, I'll do my best to keep my 2 and 4 right on the snare each and every time. All right, let's get it. As you can see there, I started out with the regular 2 and 4 groove. I started adding a bit of ghost notes in the groove. And then I switched up the bass drum and hi-hat pattern just a tad. But notice, the 2 and the 4 stayed on the snare. That's something that I like to do whether I'm doing solos or whether I'm playing the groove with the band or anything like that. Anytime I do anything, I try my best to keep the snare on the 2 and the 4. And that always creates for a great phrase. I started going out to hitting my toms, but still keeping that snare on the 2 and 4. It's all phrasing. I built the foundation, and now I'm just playing things around the foundation, but it all leads back into my main groove. That's phrasing, my friends. And once you get the hang of your simple phrasing, you can start experimenting with more complex ideas. Let's add some dynamics. Let's add some syncopation. And let's even add a little off time. And let's see where we go from there. So there we had some phrasing when it comes to your groove, playing a little soft and just giving it different variations. And then we went to this little phrase that we had between our tom, snare, and hi-hat. And I was just kind of a little, and phrases like that are always fun because you can add extra notes, which is what I did. So you can go, like it all builds one after another. So simply put, that's what phrasing is. I mean, hopefully that was simply put for y'all. You can watch this video as many times as you want, which is the good part about it. Rewind it if you didn't understand something. Or just simply message me and say, hey, Haze, I didn't understand this. Can you expound on it? You can message me on Instagram at Haze_Amaze. Or you can comment down below in the Patreon if that's where you're watching this. Or you can comment if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'll do my best to go a little more into detail on some of these phrases that I'm playing here. To sum it up, phrasing is all about how you group your notes, how you create space, and how you structure your rhythms in a musical way. Start simple, then add some space, add some dynamics, add some off timing, and do what feels natural to you and see if it all connects as a phrase. Make sure as you're doing these things, record yourself. Listen back to yourself. That's how you grow and that's how you learn from your mistakes or from your non-mistakes. But you always want to record yourself whenever you feel like you're at the level of, all right, I could do this thing. Record yourself so you can see how you sound. Don't be afraid to send it to other people that you know to see what they think about it. You can get and use help from anywhere at any time. I appreciate y'all for tuning back into the crib today. We outie. Lessons from the crib. Express yourself. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the crib. Today, we'll be going over self-expression on the drums. Drumming isn't just about playing patterns or keeping time, but it is about telling a story and connecting with your audience through your sound. In today's lesson, we'll explore how to use drums as a tool for personal expression. We'll focus on creativity, dynamics, and phrasing, all designed to help you engage more with whoever you're playing in front of. All right, what is self-expression in drumming? Self-expression on drums is all about infusing your unique personality into your playing. It's not just about doing the best chops or playing the craziest grooves, but it is about translating how you feel within yourself onto the drums. Whether you're playing in a band, doing a solo, or in your practice room, playing drums allows you to communicate ideas, feelings, and stories without using actual words. One of the easiest ways to express yourself through drums is through dynamics. Dynamics are the variation in volume and intensity in your playing. Dynamics allow you to convey feelings like joy or sorrow. So let's start by practicing dynamic control. Through this exercise of dynamic control, we'll go through how playing things at a softer volume versus playing things at a louder volume give you a different feeling when you're listening or even when you're playing. So, like always, if you got your drum pad or you're behind your drum set, let's try this thing out together. All right? We're going to start by playing things soft, and we're going to increasingly get louder, and we're going to use some accents throughout this exercise. Let's get it. All right, so through my little solo there, I wanted to take you on a journey, of some different feelings, some sluggish feelings where it was just like, to more aggressive feelings where it was like, those little crescendos and things like that really bring more feeling into what you're playing. So if you're playing by yourself, of course, you play what you want. But if you're playing in front of an audience, when you do little dynamic things, you crescendo or you decrescendo, it gets the crowd every single time. I'll tell you that. They're going to be like, whoa. It's kind of one of those things where you can connect with the audience that you're playing in front of just by the volume that you play at. All right, so here we're going to go with starting soft with something, building to a louder volume, and then coming back to soft, just so you can experience the emotion behind a crescendo and what it brings to you when you play it, but also what it would bring to a viewer when they're watching you play. Just created a little moment there so you can see the effect that playing soft or playing loud has on your overall dynamic sound and on your overall storytelling through when you're playing your actual solo or groove. If we're playing a groove, let's play it soft, and we're going to build in and add some ghost notes to it. That's another form of self-expression. By adding more notes, you can add accents, you can add more notes, you can play things soft, you can play things loud. All of these together create that story that you're trying to tell when you're playing your drums. So let's see how adding ghost notes to a groove or to a drum fill will allow you to start that journey and begin to walk and tell your story. So how I like to look at it, if you're playing a regular 2 and 4, that's kind of like when you're a baby and you're learning to talk. But when you add those ghost notes in there, that's when you grow up. You start developing your words. And then you start adding more ghost notes and more flavor into it. That's when you start to build your library that's inside your head with bigger words. All right, that's just kind of how I like to look at it to, bring it all back to human form. Ghost notes and accents are an incredible way to add subtle things and emphasis to your plan, giving you more control over how you express yourself. Ghost notes can create a sense of depth and complexity within your plan. While they are soft, they still shape the groove. Adding these subtle things adds a lot more character to your groove. But on the flip side, accents on the snare and bass drum or on the hi-hats will allow you to emphasize certain moments in your plan and make your drums stand out. So take that same 2 and 4 groove, and what we're going to do, we're going to accent our ghost notes. All right, so we're not just going to play the subtle ghost notes, but we're going to make these ghost notes bigger in a different way. And we're going to add accents before and after the ghost note just to kind of change up the expression. So let's see how that is. Got your drumsticks, right? All right, let's get it. So there you can see how adding those ghost notes but making them louder adds more emphasis and more oomph into your groove, right? The more your ghost notes stand out, the bigger your groove will sound. But the subtle ghost notes, in my opinion, most times help the groove just feel a little better. It connects the dots, you know what I mean? Instead of everything being a dot, it's like you got your dot with your accents, boom, got, boom, got, boom, got, boom, got. Those are the dots. And when you're connecting the dots, you normally draw a line from dot to dot to dot. Those ghost notes, those subtle ghost notes, are the line that you're drawing between dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, dot 4. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. These accents allow you to bring a certain amount of emphasis and movement. They allow you to bring attention to certain parts of your groove or whatever solo you're playing, helping you highlight key emotional moments in the music. Once again, it all goes back to expressing your emotions onto the drum set. So phrasing, which we've covered already, is another powerful tool for expressing yourself on the drums. Just as a sentence in language has the beginning, middle, and end, so should your drumming phrases. Think of each rhythm that you play as a musical sentence, and when you're playing a whole phrase, all of those rhythms come together to create the story that you are trying to tell through your drumming. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to start by playing another basic groove, 2 and 4. That's what I like to start with every time. If you're bored of it, I'm sorry. It's just something that you're going to have to do if you want to make it in the business as a drummer. You're going to have to play 2 and 4 a lot of times, okay? So we're going to start by playing 2 and 4. We're going to play that maybe for 2 or 3 bars. And then on the 4th bar, we're going to break it to a fill that allows us to crescendo into the 1. So it'll have a start, a middle, and a finish. But it's all going to climb like an escalator, okay? And this one is going to be based off of playing singles from your crash to your floor tom. It's one that I like to use a lot, and we're going to get into it. But you can see the difference in ending it hard or ending it soft, those effects that it has on it. So if you're playing boom, boom, that's like you're crescendoing and you're running up the steps, or you're climbing the mountain and then you just start climbing fast as a mug, you know what I mean? But when you go back down, like I did the last time, and you end very subtle, it's kind of like you're like you're just cruising, you know what I mean? You're cruising, and then you hit a little wave, but you got control of that boat again and just start cruising. So now we're going to talk about phrasing your fills, giving them a beginning, a middle, and an end. So when you practice fills, just think about how each phrase leads into the next. Just like you're having a conversation, your drumming should feel organic with tension that eventually resolves. Talk about a little bit of improv and a little freestyle, okay? People often talk about feeling free when you're playing drums, but to truly unlock your self-expression, it's important that you experiment with just freestyling. Improvising always allows you to explore your creative instincts without any limitations. So what that means is in your practice time, or what you could do right now is you could pause the video and literally just play what you want. I'll wait. Hopefully that felt good to you, that you could just play what you want without feeling like, dang it, I keep messing up or anything like that. This is what I feel like practice should be. Practice should give you the freedom to express yourself any way that you want at any moment that you want without feeling restricted or limited on what you're doing. I always like to say, when you're practicing, there's no right or wrong. You're just practicing to get better. Mistakes happen, but what you can do is learn from your mistakes and keep on rolling. And from experience, I've taken my mistakes and created something very, very beautiful out of each one. And I know you could do the same. So what I would advise you to do, you could pause the video now or you could do it after this session. Set your metronome to whatever tempo feels comfortable for you, whether that's 50, whether that's 75, 100, 125, 500. Whatever your freedom tempo is, go ahead and set your metronome to that and literally focus on playing whatever you want. And try to focus on being intentional about whatever comes to your mind and displaying it onto your drum set. So if you get a chop idea or a groove idea that's like, do your best to try to incorporate playing that on your actual drum set. I always say, if you could speak it, you could play it. And when you're doing this in your practice time, don't worry about perfection. Please do not be a perfectionist in your practice. Just do what you want to do in your own practice time. This exercise is about feeling free and exploring your emotions through sound. Freestyling is a good way to tap into your creative flow and allow your feelings to direct your hands and your feet, which in turn will make music that feels authentic and true to yourself. I know lots of times we compare ourselves to other drummers when we see them playing these fast chops or crazy grooves or anything like that. I would say there's a good comparison, there's a bad comparison. Please don't get hung up in the bad comparison, which is, oh, I see all of these people playing these fast things and I'm never going to be able to do it. And you start doubting yourself or doubting your ability to even do it. Anything that you see another human do, you can do. You just have to put in the time, the work, and the effort that they've put into developing that. And then you can do the same thing or more. And then the good comparison is you see somebody doing something that you would like to do, and you give yourself a challenge. Like, okay, I see this person is doing this or they're doing that. I'm going to challenge myself to get to that level. And I feel like that's a good comparison to have because then you're putting yourself in the forefront and saying, all right, I'm about to go and practice as much as I can and practice on the things that I need to practice in order to get to that level that I want to be. And then we'll hop into playing with emotion, which means conveying a mood while you play the drums. The mood you create through your drumming is an integral part of expressing yourself. Whether you're playing in a band or playing a solo, the way you approach each rhythm can dramatically change the emotion behind the music that you're playing. So I'll give y'all this last exercise that I like to use in order to begin to freely express myself through my playing. We're going to attempt changing moods through dynamics and through tempo. As you've heard me playing earlier, I would play a groove, but I would throw accents in there, or I would throw some off-time hits there, or I would stop and then come back in. All of these things will help you set and change a mood while you're playing and expressing yourself on the drums. All right, step one to this exercise will be practice playing a simple groove, but switch the mood by varying your dynamics and your tempo. And also, I do have access to a lot of drums up here, so I often like to use different drums to also change the mood of expressing myself through my playing. As you can see, while I was freestyling and playing whatever came to my mind and to my heart, I'm breathing hard as a mug right now, I changed tempo. I changed dynamics. I paused a little bit, came back in with something graceful, or I paused a little bit, came back with something very aggressive. All of these kinds of things change the mood of your playing. I used many different drums to convey my feelings that I was feeling inside that I wanted to express through my drums just to make it happen. And possessing that ability to change your dynamics, to change your tempos, or to change your phrasing is what makes you a true musical storyteller. Whether you're in a band or whether you're playing a solo, think about the mood that you want to create while you're playing and use your drumming to bring that feeling from your heart to life. In closing, I want to leave you with the statement to embrace your personal drumming voice. Self-expression on drums is all about freedom, creativity, and emotion. There's no right or wrong way to express yourself through your drumming. What matters is that you're playing honestly and authentically. Keep experimenting with dynamics, phrasing, mood changing. So after you watch this video, I challenge you as homework until the next lesson comes out to keep practicing and experimenting with different dynamics, different phrasing, and different improvisation when you're behind your drum set. But most importantly, have fun. Have fun and be free when you play. It shouldn't be a mental thing where you're kicking yourself in the head like, oh, I messed up, or anything of that sort. Most of the times we're putting handcuffs and chains on ourselves and capping off our abilities. You have the ability to do any and everything that you want to do. You just got to put in the work and be consistent in your practice toward it. So again, keep experimenting with all of these things, but most of all, have fun and be free. That's been your Lessons from the Crib today, expressing yourself through your actual drum set. Now go out and tell your story. Lessons from the Crib. Decisions. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the crib. And I want to ask y'all, do y'all remember the time? No, I'm just playing. Today, we'll be going over making wise decisions as a drummer. First things first, we have to understand that if we're playing with an artist or we're playing with a band, it is not about us. We do not need to shine over everybody else. Let's get into making wise decisions as a drummer. It's about playing smarter, not harder. In today's lesson, we'll understand that in drumming, as in life, every choice you make can affect the outcome of the situation. Whether it's how you approach a groove, when you play less, or how to balance creativity with technique, today we're going to explore how to make decisions that will not only improve your drumming, but also enhance your musicality and your ability to adapt and your long-term growth as a musician. So let's get into it. When playing a song, first thing is first. You have to know the song, okay? Understand that your job isn't just to play rhythms, but it's to serve the song. One of the best decisions that you can make as a drummer is to listen. Listen deeply to the music and understand the overall vibe of the music, the overall mood of the music, and what the song needs from me or you as a drummer. The first exercise into this lesson will turn on a song that you're familiar with. So if you're on YouTube or you have Apple Music or Spotify, whatever you have, pick a song. All right, pick a song that you're familiar with. Even if you don't know it the full way through, just listen to it. As you're listening, try to play along to the song, but don't just focus on the drums. Pick each part apart. You like that, don't you? Pick each part apart. So listen to the bass, listen to the guitar, listen to the vocals, the harmonies, whatever melody is going on in the song, strings, or just all of the subtleties inside the music. Do your best to focus in on those. One thing that helps me do that is when I turn my volume down while I listen. I've noticed over the years, for some odd reason, when I turn my volume down, all of the subtleties in the music seem like they're boosted and I hear them a lot clearer. As you're listening to your song, ask yourself, I'm the drummer. What does the song need from me? Is it a driving backbeat? Is it a subtle groove? Or is it a powerful fill? Not F-E-E-L, but F-I-L-L. So first, determine if the song is a gentle song that just want to make people feel good and vibey. Like if you're driving down the highway in a little red Corvette with the top down, you're just breezing, the sun is shining. Or is it like you're going 200 miles an hour on the Autobahn and you just need to be as aggressive as you need to be? Figure that out before you start actually playing the song. So through exercise 1, you want to pick a song, listen to the song, and understand what it needs from you as a drummer. Wise drummers are musically aware. They understand that sometimes the best choice is to play less or to hold back instead of playing more. Creating space rather than overplaying. Knowing when to step back is often as important as knowing when to push forward. I know we've all heard the phrase a million times in our life, less is more. Less is more. Less is more. What you want to do as a drummer is you want to play for the song. A wise decision often means playing less. Sometimes the most impactful thing you can do is to hold back. Let the space be the space. What you want to do is focus on the groove rather than focus on the crazy fills or the complex patterns. This creates a strong foundation for the rest of the band and allows space for the song to actually breathe. We breathe to live. The song needs to breathe in order to stay alive. Next, we want to focus on playing with space. So practice a basic groove, whether it's rock, whether it's funk, R&B, jazz, whatever it is, and focus on leaving the space between your hits. Let the music breathe. Allow the silence to be a part of the groove. And that'll sound a little something like this. As you can see through that example, I could have played the groove and added lots of ghost notes. I could have added some extra hits or done some things different dynamically, but just allowing the groove to sit there with me playing eighth notes on the hi-hats and just slightly opening up my hi-hat to give it more character and more feel, and then choosing to use the deep snare to just kind of fill the space that's left inside of the groove that I'm playing. I could have filled all of that up with some chops or some extra ghost notes or anything like that. But if you do that, you leave no room for the vocalist to say what they need to say, the bass player to play what he needs to play, or the guitar player to play what they need to play without everything sounding cluttered because you're just doing too much. When doing simple grooves like that, try playing simple patterns for the first few bars. And then add a little complexity for some contrast, because sometimes that can act as the, whoa, that was nice effect instead of, oh, you're doing too much, you know? And through this exercise of trying to play the simpler things, we want to see how much we can communicate with just the basics. So let's get into it. I'll play a basic 2 and 4 groove like I just did, and then I'll just add some complexities. That may be dynamically, that may mean more notes, that may mean some accents. We don't know. Let's see what comes out of here. always the subtle things that add so much more character to playing a straight 2 and 4 groove. You heard the little pauses in there. You heard the different accents. You heard the extra bass drum that I might have added in there. All of these things add a lot more character to your overall groove, and those are the kind of decisions that you want to make as a drummer. You want to make the decisions to where you're playing with the band and you do something. You may accent a guitar lick. You may accent a vocal ad lib or something like that. These key little things will help you become a more mature drummer, and it's all through decision making. Anywhere that you're playing, whether you're playing a gig, whether you're doing a solo through a drum clinic or any of your practice time, use space. Simplicity can be powerful, man. A lot of things are said through the space that you leave without you actually saying them. Overplaying can make the rhythm section sound cluttered, like I said many times before, but playing with intention and playing subtly will help enhance the overall musicality of whatever gig you're doing, whatever band you're playing with, or whatever track you're playing. And just a note, leaving space is important whether you're playing a fast song or whether you're playing a slow song. Another thing you want to learn how to do is be adaptable in your live situation. It's not always going to be glitz and glamour when you're going into a gig. Live performances, rehearsals, jam sessions, all of these things require you to respond to the energy around you, the energy that the band is creating and the energy that the crowd is giving off. Being aware of your surroundings also means being aware of how the band is reacting to each other and adapting your playing accordingly. That is a crucial moment and a crucial thing for you to do as a drummer. Here's what I want you to do. Take this note down, maybe on your phone, or you can write it down if you want to. Got your notepad? Got your phone out? All right, cool. All right. In a jam session or a rehearsal, start with a simple groove and adapt based on how other musicians are playing. If they're playing more aggressive, then you play more aggressive. If they're playing softer, play softer. Next, what I challenge you to do is focus on how the music changes and how you can complement the vibe rather than lead it. We got to read the energy. Adjust your playing to the band. You can't be louder than the band, everybody. Not always, at least. A wise drummer knows that playing in a group isn't just about showing off your craziest chops, but it's about knowing when to step forward and when to blend into the background. It's like having a conversation with your bandmates. You can't speak while they're speaking, so you got to wait till they finish speaking, and then you can speak, okay? A good way to put your wise decision making into practice is in your practice time. Build your technique gradually. We can definitely go downstairs and rush through all of the exercises or attempt the challenging patterns before you're fully ready. But this often leads to poor habits and frustration, and it always shows on the gig that you're doing. So don't rush through your practice time. Take your time and be careful. Practice slow for accuracy. I challenge you to choose a challenging pattern or rudiment and practice it slowly. Slow enough that you can play each stroke perfectly. Even though nobody's perfect, you can attempt to be, right? Focus on making each note clean, precise, and continue to gradually build that perfection in your playing. Sometimes when you want to take that next step in your drumming, you have to stop practicing so hard. Sometimes you got to step back and go back to the basics. Go back to the foundation of what makes drum playing. With cars, with technology, all of it is broken down to the basics. Every car has a wheel, I believe. Every car has a door, I believe. Every car has a steering wheel, I believe. But not all cars are push to start. Not all cars have a key ignition. But all of the foundation things are there. Just like with anything that evolves, your playing will evolve off of the basics. You've never met a car that doesn't have wheels. You've never met a car that doesn't have a steering wheel. You've never met a car that doesn't have a transmission or an engine. All of those things are the foundational pieces of a car. So what you have to do is find your foundation as a drummer and build upon that. Wise drummers understand that it takes time to build your progress. Developing solid technique means mastering the basics, and before you moving on to the more complex material, you always prioritize accuracy and control over speed. Okay? It's like an algebra problem, right? You know, you could do A plus C over S equals equals progress. Yeah, accuracy and control over speed equals progress. Most times, I wouldn't advise you to take risks on things that you haven't generally practiced enough to be confident in taking that risk. But while playing safe has its place, a wise drummer knows that sometimes taking that risk can be extremely rewarding. It can lead to new creative breakthroughs. Playing within your comfort zone may feel secure, but stepping outside of it opens up a whole nother world of creativity for you to step into. So while I say on gigs, if you're not comfortable with something that you just came up with, don't take the risk. It can help. I would advise you maybe do it in rehearsal. Do it in your practice time while you're practicing the music and see how it fits. And if the shoe fits, wear it. Another exercise that I want you to take your notepad back out, experiment playing outside of your usual style. If you usually play like rock, funk, jazz, Latin, whatever you normally play, try playing a different style. Take a basic groove and experiment with it. Add some feels to it that you wouldn't typically play on a gig and see where it takes you. I'm not fond of honestly playing like swing, straight ahead jazz, but here's what I'll do. I'll give y'all a live example of me attempting to play some swing and adding some ideas to it that I more likely wouldn't do on an actual gig. Let's see. Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like to literally just play whatever it is that you're feeling and taking those risks, stepping out there in your practice time just to see what you could come up with. Some of those things I've never played before, but I like the way they sound. So maybe if I ever got the straight ahead gig, I would try it on that gig, after practicing it for a little while and becoming comfortable enough to take that risk on an actual gig. We've heard the saying high risk, high reward. So here I'm going to say take risks to push your creative boundaries. The key here is balance, right? Know when to take the calculated risk and know when to stay grounded into the basics. Risk taking is a powerful tool in developing your voice as a drummer, but it's also important to understand the musical context and the needs of the performance. So while you could take all the risk in the world, understand that it will have an effect if it doesn't go right. You may miss the one, you may drop a stick, or you may miss a beat, and you're gone off of the gig right then and there. So something that you could do is avoid burning out, especially on the gig. One thing that I advise you to do is to rest and recharge. After your practice, after you at a jam session, whether you're doing gigs or rehearsals, I really advise you mentally and physically to take a rest and to recharge before you get back to doing whatever it is you were doing behind your drum set. Make sure you're incorporating rest days into your practice routine. During practice, take short breaks every now and again for 20 or 30 minutes to rest your hands, to rest your wrists, rest your legs, and rest your mind. Resting allows for you to protect your body and to protect your creativity. By taking care of your body, you'll be able to play for years and years to come without the risk of injury. Okay, we don't want to get injured while we're playing drums because we just want to have fun. So maintaining your health by resting and taking time off when you need to take time off will help your creative juices continue to be fresh. Now it's time to play smarter and not play harder. Now that I went over how to mentally and physically become a wiser drummer, it's about intention. Please be intentional in making these efforts towards progressing in your journey. Whether you're choosing to play less, adapt to the band's energy at a jam session, or build your technique slowly, or simply take risks to spark your creativity, these decisions shape the musician you become. So as you watch me play the Remember the Time track that was made by my brother Sean Miles, you'll see that I make decisions to play the hits or play the subtleties, or to not play the hits and not play the subtleties. That goes back to what I was talking about earlier with leaving space in your playing. As you leave space in your playing, you allow the music to continue to create that story or create that flow that the listener needs to enjoy the actual music. As the track builds, or the sounds got louder, or the hits got harder, I would use my crash cymbals, or I would use my snare, my hi-hats, my stack, or my toms, anything to accent these portions of the music. All of these things are decisions that I make and decisions that I feel are wise to make when playing music. So whatever song you choose to play, please listen to it and apply some of these basic foundational things that'll help you serve the music better and become a more mature, wise drummer. I love y'all. Peace.
We were young.
Be on time. Welcome back to the crib, everybody. Today, we're going to focus on building good timing on your drum set. Timing is the foundation of any solid performance. Whether you're on a stage with a band or you're just playing by yourself, good timing helps you to stay in sync with other musicians, creating a tight and cohesive sound. Now, why does having good timing matter so much? Timing ensures that each beat is properly placed with the musical context. And it's also essential for playing live gigs because it'll help you to lock in with the bass player, the guitar player, or any other instruments that are on the stage. During this lesson, we are going to get into some metronome practice. Using the metronome is going to sort of be your best friend during this journey of building your internal clock because practicing with a metronome at a comfortable speed and then gradually increasing that tempo as you improve will help you in your musicality. Let's start by warming up with some simple exercises that'll help you internalize the basic pulse. First, we're going to start off with quarter notes. We're going to play quarter notes with the metronome, focusing on playing each beat evenly. So we're going to set our metronome at 60 BPM. Right now, I'm using the metronome app. Anybody could download it, whether you have Android, whether you have iPhone, or even on your computers, you can go onto Google and just type in metronome and something will pop up where you could change the speeds and the amount of notes between those quarter notes in that metronome. And for those who don't know, BPM stands for beats per minute. All right, so we have our metronome set to 60 BPM and we're going to play single strokes, which is right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. But we're going to play that to 60 BPM. It's pretty slow. So let's go. I know some of y'all are probably going to say, 60 BPM is too slow or it's too easy. But I promise, if you do this at least for 5 minutes a day, just be consistent in doing this so that you could build that internal pulse. All right, we like to call it an internal clock because you don't need a metronome all the time just to play a simple groove, whether you're playing it slow, medium tempo, or at a fast tempo. You should not need a metronome. And that is one of our goals today, is to help you build to the place where you do not need a metronome in order to keep good timing. All right, so here are a couple tips that I would like to give y'all while playing to slower tempos because they can be more difficult when you don't have a metronome or a click track playing behind you. First one I would like to give is to use your left foot on your hi-hat. Now, when I'm using my left foot on my hi-hat, I'm not bringing my whole foot up and back down. Most of the times, I'm keeping the front of my foot down and then the heel of my foot, I'll just tap a tempo. So if I'm going back at 60, I'm going 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And sometimes instead of doing quarter notes on the heel of my left foot, I'll just do it on the 8th note. So if you're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, my heel will come down on the and while my snare is playing on the quarter note. So it'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Those are a couple tips that I use for my left foot, but if you're at an actual gig and you have to play like this, I like to tap my leg with my right drumstick because most of the times you're going to have your left hand on the snare or your right hand on the snare if you're a left-footed drummer, and you'll be playing like right? So say the song doesn't require hi-hats on a certain part, but you have to play your kick and your snare at a slow tempo. I like to keep quarters on my right leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that always helps me keep good timing when I'm playing on stage with the band. And now that we've done our quarter note exercise, which doesn't take a long time, but it's something that you need to do in order to build that internal clock of yours, the next exercise that we're going to get into is we're going to play our eighth notes. And these eighth notes aren't going to be singles, but they will be double strokes, all right? And for those who don't know what a double stroke is, that is right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. So So now that you know what double strokes are, we're going to use this exercise to play double strokes at 60 BPM, and then we're going to bump that speed to 80 BPM, which is just slightly faster. That'll sound a bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now keep in mind, while I'm doing the double strokes, I'm counting in my head 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and those are called eighth notes. Now that we've done that for a measure or two, we're going to bump the speed up to 80 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 80 BPM is a lot more exciting, isn't it? I know. Now, if you're playing with the metronome and you're doing those exercises we just went over, that helps just to do them about 5 to 10 minutes a day, because that's more so a warm-up before your actual practice. Now, we're going to actually develop playing grooves within the metronome, and I would suggest doing these 10 to 15 minutes per day, or honestly, however long you would like to do them. So now that we warmed up, let's focus on playing more complex rhythms while maintaining our timing. The goal here is to practice staying in time and learning how to count different note values. So if we're going quarters and eighths, you're going to set your metronome down to 70 BPM. And now that we are back down to 70 BPM, we're going to practice our quarter notes and our eighth notes still, but we're going to apply that with our hi-hat, our snare, and our bass drum in a simple groove where your bass drum is going on beats 1 and 3, and your snare is going on beats 2 and 4, and your hi-hats are going to be playing quarter notes, and then we're going to bump it to eighth notes. And for my advanced drummers, we're going to bump it to 16th notes, okay? Okay. And as a quick tip for this exercise, when you're playing the groove, please, I know it's going to get boring, but when you're playing the groove, try not to use ghost notes. Try not to use any doubles or get fidgety on your hi-hats or anything of sorts. Please just practice boom, ting, cat, ting, boom, ting, cat. Not boots and cats. And no, boom, ting, cat, ting, boom, ting, cat. Okay? All right. Metronome at 70. Now that was us playing quarter notes on our hi-hats while keeping our foot on the 1 and 3 and our snare on the 2 and 4. Now I'll progress to playing eighth notes on my hi-hats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now that we've done quarter notes and eighth notes with our hi-hats, it might sound cheesy, but I would suggest doing quarter notes and eighth notes with your kick, your snare, and your hats hitting all at the same time. That'll sound something like this. I'm going to do my quarters, and then I'll shift to my eighths. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a very simple method, and like I said, it may sound pretty cheesy, but I find that doing the quarters helps me with my internal clock because of the space that's in between each note, especially when you're playing at a slow tempo doing quarter notes. Doing the eighth notes was a bit easier because there's more going on, and it's more so ba 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 rather than ba 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 ba. But it's the space in between that really allows you to know, okay, am I staying on time? Am I not staying on time? Because if you're playing with the metronome isn't going anywhere. Like I said, the metronome is your best friend. It's going to be with you through thick and thin. It's going to be with you through thick and thin. It's going to be with you through thick and thin. But if you move, then you'll be going too fast or too slow for the metronome. So I like that quarter note exercise where all of the drums are hitting at the same time because it helps me to know, okay, I actually am staying on time. All right, now the next level to this exercise while you're warming up is to play triplets. So we've done our quarter notes, we've done our eighth notes. Next would be for us to play triplets. Triplets are 3. Triple is 3. All right, triplets. It'll be right, left, right. But how they sound is 1, 2, 3, 4. Triplet, 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 trip. I'm not saying y'all tripping, but I was just playing my triplets. All right. All right, so when you're doing your triplets, that is a subdivision which will place 3 beats per click. So if you're playing to a metronome like we are now, I'll go from quarters to eighth notes to triplets. I'll clap for how many beats are supposed to be per click. All right, our quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Our eighths, which are 2 beats per click. So the click is going to be me saying 1, 2, 3, 4, or your metronome, and the amount of beats are going to be my claps, okay? So we're going to our eighth notes, which is 2 beats. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Now, where we are now is the triplets. Okay, that'll be 3 beats, but it's more of a that's a subdivision. So we're going to go 3 beats per click. Sound a little something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are triplets. All right, now we are on to 16th notes, which is that last level. So we have our quarter notes, we have our eighth notes, our triplets, and our 16th notes. It's very, very rare that you'll be playing 30-second notes or, anything crazy while you're playing an actual gig. I guess unless you're playing like metal or some type of rock where they play really fast, like... I can't do that, so I'm not even going to try, right? So we're going to our 16th notes, which will place 4 beats per click. And normally, if you're counting that out, it'll sound like 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and But that E and are the 3 beats plus that 1 quarter note, which makes it 4. Okay? So with 16th notes, there are 4 beats per click. You got the 1 E and 1 E and all right, per click. And I'll play that through claps just like I did before with the eighths, the quarters, and the 16ths. It'll go, my mouth is the click, and my claps are the amount of notes between each click. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, or click, 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 click. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to move to 16th notes on our hi-hats, which would sound like this with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for my beginners or intermediate players, that can be a bit challenging at a fast tempo. So I suggest that you start from 60, just like we did with the boring quarter notes. But if you start from 60 and you do that repeatedly, you'll definitely improve to 100. So just for a little side warm-up that you could do on your lap if you don't have drumsticks, or if you do have drumsticks, you could do these. You could fold up a towel, do them on the towel, do them on your pillow, wherever you can, where you're not making a whole bunch of noise, just anywhere. What I would like to do is show you all me at 100 BPM playing quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, and 16th notes just on my snare alone. And this is something that you could do on a daily basis. I don't have any specific time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, nothing like that. You could literally do this at any time because you could do it on your lap and your legs are always with you, right? All right, so let's get into 100 BPM, changing between quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, and 16th notes, just as a good warm-up for your hands. So now that we've moved to 16th notes, which is the last level of our hi-hat, kick, and snare groove, I'm going to go from quarter notes to eighth notes to triplets to 16th notes on my hi-hats as I'm playing a straight 2 and 4 groove. And normally when I say a straight 2 and 4, that just means snare on the 2 and 4 and my kick on the 1 and 3. So a straight 2 and 4 groove would sound like. All right, let's get into this exercise using our quarters, our eighths, our triplets, and our 16ths. Metronome BPM at 100, everybody! Nah, I'm just playing. And as y'all heard, I kind of lagged a little bit when I first started those 16ths, but I'm human and it happens. When you're in your practice time, one thing that I like to stress is that you should never be too hard on yourself, because when you become too hard on yourself, you just ruin the fun out of all that you're working to do. And also, when you're practicing, you are the king or the queen. It's your thing, all right? Don't let anybody tell you that you can't mess up when you practice. You have to practice perfectly and everything like that. No, there's a difference between perfect practice and practicing perfection, okay? So when you're doing your own thing in your practice room, I really, really do want to stress that if you mess up, please don't beat yourself down about it. Just continue to try and try again. No one can tell you or give you a limited amount of chances to get something right when you're in your own practice time. So listen, take it slow and do it right. All right? All right, now that we got a feel for the different subdivisions, Let's challenge ourselves by practicing without the metronome for short periods of time and then checking our timing. Woo, spooky. And what you could do with this one is you could put on your favorite song, but make sure it's something with a clear beat and a clear rhythm. I would say like Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, because it's just boom, gut, boom, gut, boom, gut, boom, gut, right? What you want to do is you want to focus on playing along to that song while maintaining the steady timing that the song has. And then when you're playing along with the song, make sure that you're recording yourself somehow. You could do a voice memo on your phone, or you could just sit your phone up right beside you, throw it on the floor or something. And what you want to do is record yourself playing to the song. And after you're finished playing with the song, listen back to it. Because sometimes we feel like we're on, but we were actually off tempo. Sometimes we feel like we were off tempo, but we were actually on tempo. So what you want to do is listen back to yourself playing just to, scout and see if you were on or off timing. One tip that I like to use to build my internal clock is I like to count silently in my head. And sometimes when I'm playing, y'all might see me count out loud. I'm like, it looks like I'm counting out loud, but I'm actually silently counting. But without my mouth moving, I like to do the internal counts because it helps me to internalize like the groove and the feel of the song while keeping good timing. All right, now we're going to get into a little more of an advanced topic behind timing, which is polyrhythms and odd time signatures. For my beginners and my intermediate drummers, if you want to stay on to the lesson and watch the rest of it, you can. But this one is solely focused more to my advanced audience. So once you build a solid foundation behind timing, you can start experimenting with more complex rhythms like polyrhythms or odd time signatures. All right, so for the polyrhythms, here's what I'll do. I'll do eighth notes in my left hand and triplets in my right hand. So that's 2 against 3. Sounds something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 triplet, 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 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Now after the polyrhythms, we're going to dive into some odd timing. The most common odd time is 7/8, but you can also count 5/4 and a bunch of different other odd time signatures. So we're going to start by counting the odd time signature. For 7/8, we're going to count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. All right, we're going to stop at 7 each and every time. So I'll throw my metronome on and I'll put it to 7/8 and we're going to see what it does. So here we go. At 100 BPM, we're playing in 7/8 timing. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So what y'all just saw me do is play a basic groove in 7/8, where each time I crashed on where the 1 should go. The 1 is always the reset, whether you're on 4/4, 5/4, 7/8, whatever time signature that you're in, the 1 is always the reset of a new measure. So now I'm gonna play a little more complex through this 7/8, and I'll let the metronome count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Every time you hear the high beep, that's 1. All right, and I'm going to just play kind of around it. Let's see. And I was just thinking about not exposing myself, but I would expose myself because I want to keep it real with y'all. If you go back and watch that clip of me shedding just now, I did a hi-hat choke where I felt that the one was about to be, but it wasn't right there. But thanks to the metronome, woo, the almighty metronome kept me on time, all right? That's why I will always say the metronome is your best friend. And if you ever mess up, like I said, in your practice time, that doesn't matter. Just keep on playing it because I bet you if I didn't tell y'all that, y'all probably wouldn't notice that I did mess up. All right? All right. And another quick tip that I would give y'all, when you're playing a gig or even in your practice time, if you're playing to a song, a regular click track, or just a metronome, if you hear yourself going ahead of the tempo just a bit or lagging behind the tempo, it's okay. Just continue to play, but adjust yourself to the tempo. All right? And as a final piece for y'all, I want to let y'all know that having good tempo just isn't something that applies to you being on the actual drum set, but it applies to you just keeping the tempo with your band, whether you're just playing your hi-hats or if you're in rehearsal a lot of times. Somebody might ask you, hey, can you keep the tempo for us while we go over this part? And you have to sit there and go. But listening to music, and sometimes even if you want to just listen to a metronome, it'll help you to develop a feeling behind the timing, all right? And when you're just listening to your music and grooving along to it, that should help you develop your internal clock so that when you do get on gigs, your timing is flawless. All right, so we've reached the end of our lesson, but I don't want to leave y'all without a piece of application. Here's what I want y'all to do by the time I see y'all next week. Make metronome practice a daily habit of yours, meaning every single day, practice to a metronome, whether that's you just tapping on your legs or behind the actual drum set. Number 2, start slow, then increase your speed gradually as your accuracy improves. So that means like we started from 60 all the way at the top of this lesson and we ended up at 100. It's just that easy. As you practice slow, you'll start to feel it in your bones and then just speed that metronome on up like we started from 60 and now we're at 100. And beyond. And those are the daily pieces of application that I want you to apply. Just apply practicing to a metronome to your daily practice and start slow, then increase the speed as your accuracy improves. 2 pieces of application for y'all. That's not difficult. I want y'all to have that done by the next lesson. My final tip is for you to always listen to the music around you, whether you're playing along to it or if you're playing with other musicians, because timing is not just about being accurate, but it's about being musical and in sync with the feel of the pieces of the band that you're playing with. I appreciate y'all for tuning back into the crib. I will see y'all next week. I got to get back to practice. Peace.
Alright, let's see from the crib coming down the chute today.
Watch your left. Yes, sir.
Haze Amaze.
Yes, sir.
Are we recording today?
That's today. My bad. That's on me. Hey, I'm backing out, bro. I gotta go. Let's step into it. Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the crib. My bad about that, man. I was just going crazy on Warzone. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. But today, we are diving into how to develop a stronger and faster kick drum foot. And whether you're a beginner or have some experience behind the drum kit already, these exercises will help you develop a stronger and faster foot behind your kick pedal. So let's step into it. No pun intended. All pun intended. Say that. So the first thing that we want to know is that a solid foundation for you developing this faster and stronger foot technique starts with your balance of your foot on the drum pedal. What you want to do is you want to be relaxed. So as I've said before, when I sit on the drums, I kind of like to sit over my drums. As y'all can see, I don't like sitting too low, or I don't like sitting too high over the drum set, but I do love to sit right on top of the drum set. You want your feet to be as relaxed as they can be on the pedal, whether that's your right foot or your left foot, because I know some of you all are left foot drummers, but I myself am a right foot drummer. So everything that I say may be right, but if you're a left foot drummer, you apply it to your left foot. You can experiment with heel up and heel down foot techniques. I know there are plenty of foot techniques that people use to develop faster feet, but through this video, I'll be showing what has helped me over my years of drumming. All right, we're going to dive into the positioning of how I place my foot on the drum pedal. So when I sit down behind the drum set and I place my foot on the kick drum pedal, I generally have it flat like it is now. But when I'm in playing position, my heel comes up and the ball of my foot stays on the pedal. Now, I like to break the drum pedal down in about 3 sections, which is the front, the middle, and the back of the pedal. Or you could say up, middle, and down on the foot pedal. So while I'm in my playing position, I normally am in between the middle and the back of the foot pedal. But for more speed and power at the same time, I'll use between the front and the back of the pedal, and I'll slide my foot in between. So it's either coming from the back to the middle or the middle to the front. Back, middle to the front, don't front. If I want to produce more speed while I'm playing my kick drum. So when you're playing your kick drum pedal, you don't want to use your whole leg because you're going to get tired and you're going to start cramping up. So what you want to do is you want to focus on using more so your ankle than your actual whole leg. So outside of drum exercises, we can do actual physical activity exercise. 2 exercises that I generally use off of the drum set are ankle rotations and calf raises. These 2 exercises, I can do them at the airport, I can do them in the hotel room, in the green room at the show, I can do them anywhere that I want. And what that helps me do is to keep my ankle movement fluid. So as you can see, when I do it, my foot comes back and then it goes to about the middle of the kick drum pedal. Like I said, I like to slide my foot. So I use the slide technique is what they call it. I don't think that I have the fastest foot in the world, but it gets me through doing what I need to do when I'm at shows and when I'm in my practice room. And as I've developed my speed on the foot pedal, I've also developed my power by doing things like using ankle weights. After playing and practicing with the ankle weights on for a little while, I would even go to sheds with these ankle weights on. I definitely noticed when I took them off, my foot was faster and stronger. So for me, I like to use the DW machine chain drive foot pedal. And with my beater, I have it raised up more than I have it lowered down. As you can see, I don't have any of my beater coming out of the bottom hole that's on my foot pedal. And generally, I find that raising your foot beater definitely gives you more tension and it allows you to come a little further back from the actual drum and put a little more power into making it connect with the drum head. So other ways that you can increase the tension on your foot pedal is some foot pedals have the adjustment feature that you can make your foot pedal beater go all the way back. You can keep it here where I normally like to keep mine, or you can make it closer. I don't recommend the closer one because that doesn't allow you to gather much power or much speed before connecting with the drum head. So generally right here where I have it, that allows me the perfect balance between getting speed and getting power behind my kick when I play. And now that I've gone over sort of my position on the foot pedal and my foot pedal adjustments, I'm gonna give y'all 3 exercises that I've used over the years to help develop my speed and power behind my foot. Number 1, we're simply dealing with singles. All right, normally singles are on your hands and you go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. But for this, since we're focusing on developing our feet, for the first exercise, we're gonna deal with this by playing 1 bar of your right hand and kick drum, 1 bar of your left hand and kick drum, and 1 bar of your right and left hands alternating with your kick drum in between. I advise you to start off slow, but if you're already an experienced drummer, you may wanna go to a faster tempo, say like 90 or 100, but as a beginner, I would say stay somewhere around 65 and 70 if you're using a metronome. I myself am not gonna use a metronome in this lesson right now, but we're gonna get into it. Here we go. And I know for you experienced drummers, you're probably saying, yawn, boring. Oh well, this isn't just for you. This is for the beginners as well who are trying to develop a faster foot, and that'll also help you develop faster hands too. Exercise number 2 is going to be very similar to the first exercise where we use singles, but in this exercise we're using doubles. Right, right, kick, kick, left, left, kick, kick, right, right, kick, kick, left, left, kick, kick. Simple as beans. Let's get into it. Exercise number 3. Last but not least, we're dealing with one of the world's favorite rudiments. That is the paradiddle. Those of y'all who know what a paradiddle is, it is right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. What we're going to do in this exercise, we're going to do it 2 different ways. So you have the exercise, and then you have an umbrella with way number 1 and an umbrella with way number 2. Okay? On this exercise, we're going to take our paradiddles and we're going to have our kick drum follow our right hand, and then we're going to have our kick drum follow our left hand. The first variation will be our right hand and our foot will play at the same time. So it's going to go kick, left, kick, kick. All right? So it'll be right, left, right, right. But we'll do our kick drum with the right hand. So it'll be, I can't say kick and right at the same time. But look at my hands as I say kick, okay? It's going to say kick, left, kick, kick. Left, kick, left, left. Kick, left, kick, kick. Left, kick, left, left. The second variation, our foot is going to go onto our left hand. So it'll be right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, kick, right, right, kick, right, kick, kick. All right, and the reason that I'm saying kick and then left or kick and then right is because I can't say both words at the same time. It's not humanly possible, okay? All right, let's dive into the exercise. And one thing that I was getting to next that Will behind the camera just said is that sounds super cool. It sounds like a groove that you could play at a live show. You could put it on a record or you could just play it in your practice time and have fun with it. Not only will that exercise build your foot speed and your foot power, but it'll also build the sync between your hands and your feet. As y'all can see, when I got to the left hand, it was a little flamming going on. But I've been out of practice, but these are things that I've used over the years to help me develop my sync, my foot speed, and my foot power as well. And I would say to practice these exercises, even if it's only for 5 to 10 minutes each day, please make sure that you practice these things consistently, because the only way that you're going to develop the foot speed that you want or the foot power that you want is to practice. Be consistent in your practice. So I challenge you for at least 5 minutes every day to do one of those exercises or do all 3 of them. If you do all 3, I challenge you to do 20 minutes a day. All right, and I promise you, over time, you're going to start to see that your foot is getting faster and stronger. This has been Lessons from the Crib for today, and I got to get back to playing Call of Duty because y'all interrupted me during my game. I'm out of here. Peace. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to press the like button down below. It'll help me in the algorithm so y'all can keep seeing my videos. If you have anything else to say under this video, leave me some feedback by leaving a comment down below. And so that you don't miss any of my uploads that I have coming up, I'm uploading every week. Hit that subscribe button. And if you want to help a family or friend get better behind the drum set, please share the video. It doesn't hurt. It only takes 5 seconds or 2. For one-on-one consultations, private live streams where we can have one-on-one lessons, and weekly chats, go ahead and hit that Patreon link and become a part of Club Amaze today. If you want to come see me at a live show, you want to book me for a studio session or anything of sorts, hit the website link below or just visit www.hazeamaze.com. I'm out of here. That's been Lessons from the Crib for the day. I love y'all. See y'all next week.